Hey everyone, welcome back. So if you watched the last video, I showed you how to remove the headers. Now I have these like scuff pads. I don't remember where I picked them up at. I'm going to be starting off with 360 just because I know that it's going to take a while and there's going to be a decent amount of material. And what I like to do is, if you see it, it's not really going to do much. If you just get it with the pad, you'll be sitting there for a while. So I like to get some WD on it just because it kind of helps when you're trying to take off material. I mean, the difference is pretty insane. That's the area I just went over, and this is the rest. Alright, so in some areas it was really working well. Like here, it was taking off good material, but up here, closer to where it actually connects to the engine, I guess there's more buildup, and so it kind of wasn't, it's kind of taking a while, and I don't want to be here all day, so I got like this, I had just this roll of 120, so I just cut off a piece of it, and I want to see, it might be a little too much, but I'm going to find out. See, I just went over that. When you compare that to here, which I've been going over with the 360. So, yeah, I recommend using really coarse sandpaper in some of the harder to get areas, because that's just going to speed up the process. Yeah, I was pretty much exclusively using this because there was some pretty good buildup, but you can actually see, I guess this is a part number. It's basically taking down all of the deposits. I hit it with the 800 and it's actually looking really nice. And if you compare that to like here, it's gonna be hard to see, but the scratches are nearly gone even just on 800. So I don't think I'm even gonna have to use a finer grit. I'm just gonna polish it, use the metal polish after. So I'm done with the 800. Get the polish, just apply a little bit on, don't need a lot, because you want to work in a small section area at a time. So just grab it, just kind of spread it out a little bit. This one they say to kind of rub it in until you see a black film. You can see that it's turning dark, and then just try to get a clean area. And you don't want to buff it too hard, otherwise you'll just kind of remove it all. At least that's what they say. And it won't be as high gloss. So this is the area where I haven't touched it yet, just I did with the 800. And now this area, if you'll see, you really can't see any scratches. So this is pretty much the final product. There's a little bit of scratches you'll still see, especially in like certain areas, but I mean, it's good enough for my purposes. That's done. Now, it's time to get on to this monstrosity right here. I'm going to get a new piece of 120 and just start having at it. I'll take this piece off because I can do that separately. And remember to get new washers or gaskets for the header, the connection. And actually I found out the nuts that are used to secure it are actually one-time use. Replace those as well because they're actually not circular, they're ovaled, and it acts as a locking feature. So I finished with the sandpaper. Now I'm going to move on to getting it with the pad 360 and trying to take out some of the bigger scratches, and we'll see where we end up. I don't know if this is from pressure or heat or the pipe just bending, but a little bit of, yeah, it's not just an illusion because you can actually feel it a little bit. I actually did not record the last bits for that main pipe and this little pipe over here. The same steps are going to apply with those other pipes as with the first one that I showed you. Here it is. Labor maybe 6 hours in total, 5 to 6 hours. you're doing this on a different exhaust system, it's going to be a lot easier, or especially on an inline 4, because you're not going to have this big loop. Alrighty guys, done with the header. That looks clean. Now we're going to be moving on to the muffler. I'm just going to be using 2500 grit of this same product because I don't want to leave deep scratches on it. So here's a comparison between the pipe that I finished and the other pipe that I've not started on. It really just looks like a brand new pipe, pretty much. That's what that looks like. That was, I mean, not kidding, 10 minutes of work. So it's definitely a lot easier than the header. And I'm now going to move over to the other side. So here, finished the other pipe. Same deal. All I had to use, this was for both of the pipes, just one piece. So this again was like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So in all, about half an hour of work on the mufflers. Now I will spray them down with some alcohol because I don't want that residue from the WD to be on there until I'm ready to start the bike. A little on there and just wipe it down. I'm going to be installing these levers that the previous owner actually had. So I'm going to do the brake first. So you're going to need a 4mm hex bit right in there, and then there's a nut on the other side, so just grab a 10mm socket. So hold on to the nut and crack this loose, and that should be the only thing holding the lever. And yeah, definitely make sure if you're doing this to grease this when you put this back in, this barrel, because all these moving parts, especially when it comes to brakes, you don't want these getting seized. There, it's off. So I'm just going to put that back so I don't lose it. I do need to get this piece out because I'm going to need to reuse that little piece right there. Alright, so I figured out how to remove this plunger from the old lever because you're going to need to reuse that. So you just line it up like you want to put it back in. You don't really need to fully put it in, just enough so that you can actuate it. And there, that's going to force this out. And that's the way you remove it. Remove it from in there and then put it back on to the outside so that you can actuate the lever, and that's going to pop it out. Put some grease back on all the parts that are moving. So now that's pretty clean. I'm going to get my grease. Put a little bit, you don't need tons. Put some on there, I guess. This goes in here. Put the plunger back in. And then you push that through. So now, get your 10mm wrench and your 4mm bit. So you want to get this going before you put the nut on. This is actually a lock nut, so technically you're not supposed to reuse this. Put your 10mm on the nut. Tighten that down. Don't over tighten it. There you go. It's tight. Now we're going to go over to the other side. Now I actually just noticed that I am missing that fastener for the switchgear up at the top, that hole. So it's the same procedure over here. Crack it at the bottom or the top, whatever. There you go, loosening it. Off the threads as well. Again, same procedure. Just go right back. And there you go. Get it out. put some grease on it. Put some grease on this. There's going to be a little bit of stuff here, but that's okay. Line it up in that thing, and then line it up with the hole. Once it's there, you're good to go. Yep. Start putting it in. Then you put the nut on. It's a lock nut, so you don't want to over torque it. Start tightening it down. Alright, so that's torqued down now. There you go. So that's how to place the levers on the Ducati 848, 1098, and 1198.